Well, yeah, duh.
No, I'm just kidding. But she said, no, duh, what? Everybody
Wonder
loves
why.
you, Marshall.
Wonder why.
You know what I love about you, Marshall? No matter what I throw your way, you have a comment about it. You have some intelligent conversation about it.
Okay.
I was just thinking about this morning. I was actually
Yeah.
going to the bathroom when I thought about you. But I was in the bathroom and I thought,
Yes.
because even if I threw Giphy at you, you know, you didn't know at first, but then you know what a GIF is, or
Yeah.
GIF, whatever
Yeah.
it is. But Phyllis from Arizona, who's sending her monthly $34 a month gift, said, hello, Kevin. Thanks for bringing your AM Kevin show into my home via Facebook. I have always, she does Facebook. You can also see it on YouTube Live. You can also see it, of course, kevinshorey.com, which we prefer you to go to kevinshorey.com because, you know, that's our website and stuff. It has a little stuff. And it'll announce when I tell them, it will announce where I'm going to be at, like next week when I'm going to be at Miami preaching. I've always enjoyed the Kevin Shorey Show, but AM Kevin really is a great show underlined. So interesting and fun. I enjoy the format. Marshall is so interesting. See? I've learned so much from him about our history and the presidents. I love your little arguments. I always agree with your point of view, Kevin. Yes.
Wonder why.
Wonder why? Because she's smart and
is that
balanced.
why?
Yes, she's
Oh,
fair.
okay.
Yes.
I have a different
But she put
explanation.
ha ha ha
I
in
know.
there. Yeah.
I know.
I appreciate your Devo of the day most of all. Oftentimes I have even had tears because you touched me with the message of hope, encouragement, and joy in the Lord. God bless you. I pray for you. And she's currently in Oregon, not in Arizona. And she's not even on to know that I read this, but that's okay. If she comes back on, I'll tell everybody. But we have Dan and David and Nicholas. And Dan plays us now. He does the station out in West Plains.
Nice.
And runs our program there. And so we're so appreciative to Dan and Marilyn Duncan for sure. Roger and Ken and Nicholas, Nancy, Linda. Man, right away people are here. Chris, Doreen and Jeff. Jeff and Doreen were here, friends of mine from Michigan.
Uh-huh.
And I got this. Oh, I wish I could show it. I should have planned ahead. I got this when I woke up this morning. He had a picture of his Kevin Shorey Show mug.
Nice.
And says, while we were rehearsing, and let me do it exactly. Let me here. We got time, I think, real quick. It said, and see, there's a picture of his mug. Kevin, getting ready to rehearse for my Saturday night concert. We're doing a concert for a local man who was awarded a Medal of Honor by President Trump this week.
That's
oh,
awesome.
that's McCullough. That's
cool,
I mean, that's the man we said was our hero of the day this
Yeah.
week.
That's killer. That's awesome.
So I got to have my Kevin Shorey Show cup to sing. Have a blessed day. Give our love to Cindy, and we pray her dad is doing well. Isn't that awesome, though?
That's great. Yeah.
It just dawned on me who he's talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
So that's cool. There's the Kevin Shorey Show mug that needs something in it. It's really cold, which means it needs a hot beverage. But just a hint, really.
How do it know?
Not even hinting. Well, in the news, nothing major in the political front. I mean, there probably is, but it has to do with Russia and all that. I don't even care anymore. It's just so ridiculous. But and then on the Republican side, of course, now they're going after all the other people, from Hillary on down, how they've got to be tried now. We got to just run everybody through court, and it's just
Tried for what?
It's another mirror of our society that we sue everybody for everything, and
Yeah.
we're just going after. I mean, if there's something there, it needs to be tried through, but I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm just tired of it.
The only thing I heard last night, now that you say, is that guy Kelly, the new chief of staff,
Yes.
is apparently going to keep Sessions. That's the only thing I heard last night.
Yeah, Jeffrey Beauregard.
Jefferson Beauregard
Jefferson.
Sessions.
Sessions. That's right, sir. Now, either you and I were talking about this, or somebody else was talking about this, and boom, it just showed up in the news that North Dakota is hurting. Didn't you say something about North Dakota's like most solid job-wise?
One of the two Dakotas has the only independent bank.
Yes, I think that's North Dakota. I think that's what we said. But there's an oil bust. Like, part of it was the oil. They had oil rigs up. There's 1,000 oil wells right now sitting idle. It is costing them a budget shortfall for the whole state of North Dakota of $1 billion.
Wow.
And this started last year and going through this year.
Why? Because they ran out, or what?
I guess. I don't know. They're just sitting empty. I would think that would be it, because they were still in the top 5 of like jobs and people going there for jobs. Like Alaska's a big one, and North Dakota was another one.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. Oh, this guy. Hold on, I want to write it down.
All right.
But isn't that interesting, North Dakota?
That's interesting.
But I think a lot of people, I don't know, maybe people move there for a thing, and then it gets so cold. I mean, it gets so cold up there. I'm telling you.
Maybe the oil's frozen.
Maybe it's well, no. Okay, so a guy comes on TV last night, and he is interviewed by somebody. I don't remember. But he really believes that California, he's putting forth a proposition, California become its own country. So it'll secede from the Union. And so, you know, he doesn't know how that process works because he was quizzed about it, and he was just like, you know, I don't know, because all the states and the government has to agree, otherwise you start a civil war.
He's got some kind of movement about California secession, but he doesn't know anything about
Well, he didn't seem like how, because when he asked him about...
Wouldn't you think you would study that if that was your whole deal?
Well, he just thinks that they'll take a vote and California becomes its own country.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they're already far and dead. They're perfect for another country. But, you know, I just thought that was really
Well, you know, California is like the 6th largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And, but it's not economically viable to be apart from the United States. I mean, just the way.
Of course not.
Nothing
and he wanted to shape it around so that the farmers of the North or whatever are excluded. So it's just really all of the liberals, you know, though that want to have their own country and do. And he says part of their policy, of course, will to tear down any walls, to have sanctuary cities, open immigration, you know, and we're not going to kick anybody out of the country. Anybody's free to come in, and we'll let them be part of our country. There are idiots born every minute, but he's on that list.
I was reading this thing about why the sanctuary cities thing, some of those cities do that. First off, I think it's only like in 4 states.
Right.
It's in California, Vermont, like 2 others in the Northeast.
Right, Northeast.
And
yeah.
that they might say that there's ones that have thought about it or had some, but the only thing that I was able to really, because I was really trying to nail this down, like what, because I think we've talked about it before, and I couldn't really get a grasp.
I only
of
know
exactly
the negative side of it. I wonder why
I think the reason that they do it, the reason that they propose to do it, is because there's this idea that on like lower echelon crimes like theft or maybe even gang violence, like remember last week. There was a whole thing Trump rolled out about M613, whatever it's called.
One Direction.
The Mexican gang, yeah. So about that and about cracking down on that, and that's what they were talking about was that obviously even people that are legal Hispanics, but they might be family or they might be friends or same community, that the theory was for them that if they have some kind of lack of extradition from their jail to like a federal jail or ICE, that would completely cease cooperation with police officers on a local level. And so in other words, their theory was that if they didn't arrest them like that, or if there were certain sort of what they would call like humane ideas, that they could interview the people that were around them, and that would somehow make them magically snitch on them. Now I don't really think they would snitch on them in any way, really. I mean, I feel like that's a whole kind of code of conduct that people really don't like to break. But that's what their
But the most thing that I see is that in this giving them sanctuary is that the repeat offenders keep coming back, and we've seen how many different people murdered or raped that are repeat offenders that have been given sanctuary. So I think that you raise up a good point, but I think somehow
I'm not really saying I'm not really advocating for it. I'm just trying to figure out what the phenomenon
where they're coming from, and I see, but I'm sure that can be resolved, but still take care of this horrible. There's Phyllis.
Either that or it can't be. Either that or they wouldn't cooperate with police. No matter what you do.
No, they're
and
not
so
going
then
to.
you have to create a new paradigm in a sense of how you're going to deal with it if that's the case. So
it just dawned on me, I think after all this time, that Robert Wilson and Phyllis Wilson are probably husband and wife. Now, because Robert's the name of her husband.
Yeah.
It just dawned on me. Rita from South Dakota. Did you hear that about North Dakota, Rita? That North Dakota's losing jobs and they've had a budget shortfall. 1,000 oil wells sitting idle. They're trying to fix that. But Cliff and Joyce are there. They were here yesterday. It was so good to see them in person. Vivian's here. And but Phyllis, I got your card and I was reading how much you loved the AM Kevin show. And thank you. And that I'm always right and he's not so right. But
Always
no,
right.
you didn't say that. But she said, maybe someday I'll get to come to Branson.
That'd be
I hope
awesome.
so. But thank you. And hello in Oregon. How's the weather in Oregon, by the way? But she said good morning. India. I thought this was interesting because you work for an
Marshall.
Indian. Marshall. You work for an Indian man at the part-time at the Lindian Inn. India has a new app that's going crazy.
Okay.
For forever, you know India by their delivery, bicycle delivery, because a lot of people, they call them the Dabbawalas.
Oh, okay.
You know, the Dabbawalas. So the Dabbawalas are still doing good, but now they have brought it to the 21st century, and there's an app in India that's going crazy.
Uberwala.
They should have called it Ubawala, but it's not. They don't drive you around on a bicycle. They deliver food to your business.
Oh.
The Dabbawalas would always bring food. They were a food delivery, you know, not pizza, but you know, you get your favorite curry,
Right.
you know, chicken curry. So you punch in an app and I forgot what they
that's
called
cool.
it. Ubawala would be good, or Walla Walla.
Walla Walla.
But that would be in Washington. And so they punch it, and there is over 175,000 deliveries every day,
Wow.
just from that new app in India.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh, who knew? I got so excited I lost my pen. Hold that thought while I
okay.
get my pen.
All right. While you're getting it, I
Yes.
can't believe what you were saying yesterday about Twitter and that how they're. That's very interesting. How
It said a
kinda
slow
struck-
burn, a slow.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know.
Well, you
They
and I
also
both,
said
we've
that-
talked about Twitter and how it's really, other than the president getting connected to the people, I mean, for an average person, Twitter, what does it do?
Yeah, I mean, but there is a lot of this sort of social justice warrior stuff that a lot of that stuff that we've talked about that does go on Twitter, you know. So I would think that there was a heavy appetite for it, but maybe it's just such a small minority of people that, or whatever the case may be, you know. But I don't know.
It
Social
can
media
pick
just
back one thing happen and it'll pick right back up again.
I
You
know,
I mean,
I know.
You know. Let's go from India to Canada. Oh, Canada, my home and native land. Not really, but I've been there.
patriot love.
I love Canada's food, though. They have cool things.
Yes.
They have these cheese things, not like cheese curds, but they're kind of like cheese curds, and you put them on your French fries or whatever. It's called, it just left my brain. It's called POTUS? Yeah, something like it.
Poutine.
Yeah. Poutine. And they put
talking
gravy on their fries, or they put salt and vinegar on their fries.
Okay.
But, you know, of course, Canadian bacon, I don't know, even though that's from Canada. But but they do some weird, cool things, though. And there's this candy bar they have called, I was going to say Baby Ruth, that's us. It's called Sweet Marie.
Oh.
Sweet Marie.
Interesting.
Oh, the Sweet Marie.
You know what somebody
Caramel
was
and
saying? This
chocolate.
professor from Canada, Kevin.
Yes.
He was saying, because they were trying to kind of nail down, he was on this podcast, they were trying to kind of nail down the cultural differences between Canada and the United States, because we're similar in a lot of ways, you know?
Uh-huh.
But he said the difference is that because everyone pretty much lives on the southern border, or just
Yeah.
or within like
Well,
100
yeah, have you seen the
miles
northern
of it.
border?
Right, of course. You know, you're not going to live in the
have to be a
Yukon.
penguin.
Yeah, exactly. So because of that, it would be almost like the whole United States was the Midwest. They have now there are certain parts like obviously there's French Canada,
be.
and then there's like Alberta, which is more like the western part
western,
of
yeah.
Canada, but it's still a little
British
bit more
Columbia.
homogenized. In other words, because they
yeah.
all, you know, so they're all sort of a similar
With a French
you know,
flavor because of the French influence.
especially in the east. Yeah. So kind of
And
interesting.
Quebec and all that. But they have they're trying to compete with Airbus and Boeing.
Okay.
Which would be what?
Airplanes.
That's
yes.
right. And their company's called Bombardier.
Bombardier.
Bombardier is trying to compete with Airbus, but all of their deliveries around the world for different things, but they're over budget and 2 years behind delivery. So I don't know if they're going to really be a competitor with Airbus and Boeing, but Bombardier is trying. Which brings me to my greedy groups of the day.
Yes.
Not Canada, not Bombardier, but you guessed it. Well, let's see. You decide. We report. We got question marks. Are they the greedy groups of the day? This is how you can tell if all their interest is just all about money. Well, interesting that I think, because I saw an article, a broadcast, a news piece about airplanes and airplane makers and the airlines. And they're all saying, because now you fly, well, I fly, all God's children fly, and someday we're going to fly in the rapture. That'll be great, but we won't need planes. The airplanes seem to be getting smaller because they're adding more seats. Greed. Adding more seats to sell more tickets to get more people in there, and they show the, and so during this newscast they're saying, well, no, that's not true. You have just the same amount of leg. You know, they're not even saying you're getting the same amount of leg room, because he said it seems like you get less leg room now, and we're cramped in more because they're putting in extra rows. And this is their answer. We are going by the FFA guidelines of the allowable space that you can have between each person. And so they're going by the guidelines that the FAA, who was bought out by the airlines, and the airlines are you know, so it's all a moneymaker to squeeze in more people, and more mail is being delivered and things on the commercial airlines than ever before.
Wow.
I used to fly this airline all the time in Florida, get out of Florida, called Value Jet. It used to be a good deal. Value Jet, and then it turned into something else and whatever. But, you know, I would see then boxes and boxes and, I mean, bales and bales of mail, and they could keep it cheaper for us if they could sell out to the United States Postal Service or UPS or whoever else and get, you know, stuff out there. But it was to their doom, you know. They had actually loaded in, they did so much mail, they didn't even know what they had, and something was very volatile and explosive, and boom, Value Jet hit the swamps in the Everglades head first and nose first in a nosedive. By exploding, and boom, and they were out, and Value Jet was over. Wow. It was all over. So, you know.
I was going to say, next they're going to have like sorting the mail or something sitting there in your seat. You know?
Yeah, you can do the It's just, you decide, but they just seem like they're greedy groups of the day.
They want
maybe it makes your ticket cheaper.
If you do some work, some tedious little task or something, you know, like, I don't know.
Have you flown with a lot of people that on that? I'm telling you. I promise to the good Lord that I'm not trying to be mean-spirited, but the IQ of the average American is going down every day. I pray for America, please, God help. They had two people on a game show. I just like this game show now for some reason. Craig Ferguson has this game show, Celebrity Name Game, and so they just guess words. You give a clue and you got to guess a word. That's basically the game, but it's fun the way they mix it up. So the category was 6, so every 6. Right, so Nikki Sixx was on. I don't even know. Is that Motley Crue?
Motley Crue, yeah. I actually have a story.
How did I know that? Oh Lord! And then it's 6 degrees of six. Did you see this?
No.
Oh well, yeah. Six Flags, 6 degrees. That was the first one.
Oh yeah.
6 degrees, and then up flashes John Quincy Adams, and she goes, "I think it's some founding father or something." You know, it just made me so mad that she didn't know the 6th president of the United States was John Quincy Adams. Some founding father. Oh, pass. We don't know. It breaks my heart.
Kevin,
the illiteracy of America.
My physics teacher.
These are ladies in their 30s.
And he was even like the head of the Quiz Bowl team and everything. And me and my buddy Michael, he's now my brother-in-law Michael, but we used to just give him a hard time because he was just kind of a know-it-all, and we would just kind of give him a hard time. You
got to pick on know-it-all.
Yeah, and so he was talking about the Baby Ruth. It's funny you mentioned that because it's about the Baby Ruth candy bar, and he was trying to figure out. He was trying to remember what president was named. You know, or that was named. The daughter was named after that candy bar, or the candy bar was named after his daughter. Remember that was. I think it was. I don't even remember. I always forget which one it was. Harding or something like that. But so he goes, and we were just like I said, we were just messing with, and we were just like Washington, you know. And I was like Jackson. He goes, no, way before him. I was like, he was our 7th president. Like it's like he totally was like trying to like be all smart. Oh, way before him. It's like no.
I don't know. It really just bugs me about sometimes and if you ever seen Jay Leno used to do the jaywalking.
Yes.
And Waters does on Waters World. Oh my goodness, where these people come from? They're just I know. I pray for
And
America.
if they only didn't know facts, but had some kind of intelligence, then we'd be okay.
You can show them the current vice president. They do that almost all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
That's so bad.
Not a clue. You show. I saw one. This cracks me up because I remember this in Jay Leno's thing. There was a picture of Barbara Bush, and the girl goes, George Washington. Anyway, so she has that white hair with the. I'll never forget that as long as I live. Let's get to our hero. We have a hero of the day. This definitely is one of my heroes, and this also brings honor to Branson. But it's also, what did your mom say?
Who knows?
I don't know. Should I say that? Did you see it?
Let me see.
Your dad.
I know. Yeah.
Should I? No, we've passed that topic. Anyway. Florence says it's not 11 a.m. You're on now in Pennsylvania at 10 a.m. We are on twice a day now. Florence, we are on our AM Kevin show. We do a morning hour program, and then we tape the Kevin Shorey show at 11 a.m., which would be noontime, your time. Anyway, so good morning, Cliff and Joyce says, as we watch your show from our hotel, we leave for Lebanon, Missouri. We'll be back. See you again in a couple months. Stay strong and enjoy your trip. Give Mel a happy birthday hug. Of course, I will. Don, Kurt, and Priscilla want to say, and Dennis and Leslie joined us. And so now, our hero of the day and our music for heroes.
These are the heroes.
I love this one. Now, this is becoming my new favorite one.
Yeah.
Laying down their lives like angels in disguise. The weak but always willing. They dare to do the hard things. And in the dark and desperate places no one else goes, you find the heroes.
It was during the hot days of July in 1976 in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. A native of Pennsylvania and a former dairy farmer turned an artist, along with his wife Shirley, opened the doors to the Living Waters Theater and debuted their first stage production entitled A Land of Our Own. A lot has changed since those early days, but the artistic, passionate, and entrepreneurial spirit remains. Now called Sight and Sound, has grown from a two-person slideshow that toured the country into a theater company of now into over 600 incredibly talented and committed employees in two locations, Pennsylvania and Branson, Missouri. Since 1976, they have had the amazing privilege of moving countless people toward the truth through the power of a story, God's story, the Word of God. They are now in their 41st year, bringing the Bible to life on and off the stage. 4 decades, they have remained steadfast in creatively portraying the truth of the Bible and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. After every show, they give an invitation for people to receive Christ or people to come down to the front for prayer if they want it. I love that part of it. And this is their newest one that is going to end this year, and then Samson starts next year in the next season. Miracle of Christmas will be between the two, but here's Moses, and right here, Sight and Sound.
That's
Glenn
awesome.
and Shirley Eshelman, you are my heroes. I love you and are so thankful for this show that is here in Branson. More than a show, it really is a ministry, but it is so entertainment. They do what we do.
Yeah.
Entertainment with a message.
I've still never gone.
What?
Yeah, I know.
To any?
Any of them.
You haven't been to Noah?
Nope.
Joseph?
Nothing.
Jonah?
Nope.
Christmas?
No.
Moses?
Adam, no.
Adam's not been on, but I
no.
named all of it. They were
None of them.
I'm sorry,
It's okay.
Moses. I'm about to call you Moses. I'm sorry, Marshall. Well, we'll have to fix
I
that.
wonder what they.
It's really good.
So it was a slideshow.
We know a lot of the actors here for this. It's really
Yeah.
good. It started, it was a slideshow on a scrim, on the screen, but a scrim, thing.
And they would just tell about Bible stories, basically.
Yeah, and have some music and singing with it. I remember one of their first. I heard that, and I knew this man, but Doug Oldham was a gospel singer kind of guy, and he narrated and would sing some stuff for one of their first things, Sight and Sound, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was a Noah thing. At first it was about our country, and then it was Noah, and they would take it on the road and travel, but it stayed in Lancaster County, which was very Amish
You're
country,
right.
out there in Pennsylvania. I've been to that theater and seen the Noah thing there. And then they came, at one point they were going to come before they actually built their theater and buy the theater from your
Really?
grandpa's theater.
Talk to
yeah,
Cindy
so
and-
Cindy had
Interesting.
negotiated, but it didn't work out at that time.
Gosh, that would have been an interesting theater for it because the rain. You got the rain curtain. It's a really big.
Yeah, but they had to do the whole thing on the side. The whole
Right.
thing open. Well, you haven't seen it, but I'm telling you, you got the ark there, Noah, and then the whole side opens up, and you see all the animals beside you, so you feel like you're in the ark.
Right.
And they do this with all the different ones. So with Moses now, you feel like you're in Egypt, or you feel like you're out there in the wilderness. And they part the Red Sea. I mean,
Wow.
it is amazing. See, there's kind of that's
Yeah.
exactly what it looks
Wow.
like. You have to go
That's
to the
cool.
show, but
Yeah, man.
I was thinking of that. I saw this brochure on my desk, and what a hero, because he has faithfully for 4 decades, just uncompromisingly brought the Bible to life in a great, entertaining way, but always gave an invitation for people
And who
to
could have
receive Christ.
foreseen what it's grown into? I mean, gosh, it's incredible what they have, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, it is amazing. And so there's my hero. Well, we're about to do a historical moment with Marshall Haddon. We're going to a historical moment. Are we going with Our Lady?
Yes, sir.
All right. And she will soon be on the $20 bill. Who could that be? Does anybody know? Should we give away a gift or something? Should we send off something to somebody? I don't have anything to give. I'm sorry. But, well, I do. Let's see. What can we give? All right. How about... No, I need that. Okay. Well, we have one more, don't we? From our guests that were on this week. We gave away one yesterday. We'll send it to you if you can guess who's about to be on the $20 bill. First one to guess that. And in the meantime, while we're doing that, I'll tell you about one of our favorite pastors there in Niles, Michigan. Jeff Whitaker said that while he was rehearsing, for a choir rehearsal deal, that he had his mug out, and he showed me the picture. Get your Kevin Shorey Show mug, or you can get your t-shirt any size. We have all sizes, and we send everything free shipping. I want to thank our $34 a month family of friends. Many of you, Phyllis, Rita, so many of you that are on, give your $34 a month to keep Cliff and Joyce. They came and brought it in person, and this is the picture you're going to get on this coaster. There it is. Wow. The lion laying down by the lamb. And we try to find a gift to go with others. Now, the other part of the gift is the DVD of my latest message, On the Road with Kevin. Here it is from Faith and Wisdom Church. The sermon entitled Pursue for What's Coming to You. I promise you, you'll be blessed. And many people received healing and the power of God in that place on that service. If you need a healing, watch this. God can heal. I've seen him use DVDs for Anointed for Healing. So that DVD and the coaster from this wonderful watercolor painting. Amy Calloway does so many great paintings of animals and different things. And
I love the
here's just
eyes
a few of
in
her.
this one.
Yeah.
He's got a spirit to him in that picture.
Oh, the big orangutan.
Yeah.
I know, right? And so she's one of our wonderful vendors here in the Branson Mill. When you come here, you can actually come and take lessons on how to paint. She doesn't paint by numbers. She does it by just, the animals that she sees and get pictures and makes it. So it's wonderful. If you are coming to Branson, you're going to be in this weekend. By the way, Jammin' for Jesus is up again every time the first of the month. Man, Jammin' for Jesus is having not only Ava Kasich, not only Mary Faye Jackson, Gary Dooms, Doug Gabriel, Randy Plummer, all these folks have been on our program, but a host of other gospel singers. If you're in for a free gospel concert, August the 6th, the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
Revenge of the Sixth. I can't even do it right. Thursday. You can tell the week's almost over. Then come on, Jammin' for Jesus. It's at the new Branson Famous Theater, where the ball numbers are, and so you can do that. That would be amazing. So, but God is helping us and blessing us.
Hey, hand me that
we're just
brochure real quick.
We're
Kevin.
just moments from receiving a blessing and just going over the top and getting moved out of debt. We're just praying and believing that. And
Kevin, when are you in Miami?
we are in Miami August 13th on the morning service only. And then we're hitting the road to get back up here, back home, so I can be here for the next week's, the following week's programs. We have a lot of good lineup for that week when we get back too. But yeah. So Wilson's, they say, Robert says, Harriet Tubman. It is. It's Harriet Tubman. She's going to be on the $20 bill. But you know, the Lord says that He has promised what He's promised He's going to bring to pass, and He will do what He has purposed to do. So we've been told by the Lord, don't stop doing what we're doing, because we were going to stop, pause, maybe, you know, regroup and figure it out. But with the help of our family and friends that are with us, we are going forward, and we're going to do what we're told to do. And I appreciate Marshall for, you know, he took on an extra job just so he could finance to be with us, and I appreciate that. And I know God's going to bless them, and April and Mark and those who are doing that. We really appreciate that. And now, Phyllis said this was one of her favorite parts, you know, and so obviously she just guessed the Harriet Tubman, you know. Here is our historical moment with Marshall Howden.
You and me got a whole lot of history.
Whoa.
We could be the greatest team
I didn't know that was there.
the world has ever seen. You and me got a whole
Here we go.
lot of history. We could make
Marshall Howden, all right, historical moment yesterday. You eloquently, beautifully brought forth the life of Frederick Douglass. I appreciate that.
And now-
Let us do that again.
I'm amazed how similar they are, and I'll tell you why.
Harriet Tubman,
Exactly.
let's go.
If you hear the dogs, keep going. If
Yeah.
you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If they're shouting after you, keep going. Don't ever stop. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going.
Keep going.
And that's
Whoa.
how she felt, you
That's
know.
how I
going through
feel.
the woods, you know.
I see the torches behind me. I'll keep going.
Absolutely, man. You know, she really had a sense of self and a sense of freedom, in the sense that, you know, she looked at freedom as what it could be, and the opportunities that it created for all these individuals that she loved, these, you know, her family. Born in 1820 in Dorchester County, Maryland. So they were both born in Maryland, her and Freddie Douglass. That was kind of interesting. Working in the fields by age 12. So as a young teen, she suffered a severe injury, Kevin, that would affect her the rest of her life. This is absolutely crazy. I'd never heard this before.
Was it a head injury?
Yeah, a slave owner threw a metal weight at another slave and accidentally hit her in the head.
Yeah.
And for the rest of her life, she suffered epilepsy, terrible headaches, and strange, like almost visions, you know. And this is where she thought of herself as Moses freeing her people.
Ah,
'cause she
this all
kind of-
ties in. I didn't even
Exactly.
know that.
Yeah, so
She did. She led the people out.
Definitely.
Yeah, of slavery.
So in
Wow,
1844,
I never thought of that.
Exactly. So in 1844, she married John Tubman, who was a free black man. This was common in Maryland. Douglas did the same thing, you know. In 1849, she escaped from Maryland to Philadelphia, following the North Star, and that was sort of the beginnings of the Underground Railroad. You know, which included African Americans and whites, including, Christian abolitionists was a big part about it. So the Underground Railroad was set up in houses, caves,
Wasn't
tunnels.
necessarily underground.
Right.
And it really wasn't on a railroad.
Exactly. It was just sort of this network of safe places where people could go, and they were strategically placed where you could run in the middle of the night, get to this one, stay, be harbored, then go the next day for the next one, And so
Awesome.
when she got north, no one would have blamed her for staying there.
Yeah.
But she wanted to free her family and made perilous trips back. So she freed her 2 brothers, her sister, and her sister's 2 kids. And then that was her she went on 2 trips for that. And then she went back on a 3rd trip, Kevin. She returned to get her husband, and she found that he'd taken another wife. So she just left him there and took other slaves with her back.
Huh, come on.
So that was kind of funny because he left her, basically.
Yeah.
So she was really clever, as she was brave, though. And she really knew all these paths and trails that really made her this, great conductor, as they said, of the Underground Railroad. So they would travel at night, and they would use quilts as secret codes that they would sew into the quilts,
Whoa.
And this is fascinating because, remember yesterday we were talking about, was Maryland considered the South? And because
'cause it's
the
odd.
Mason-Dixon line, which is where they get the term Dixie from, is right above Maryland. It's that line right above Maryland. So anything below that was considered the South, So she would lead people across.
Is my geography messed up? But isn't Washington D.C. south of Maryland?
Yeah, in fact, a lot people do consider, like, remember Ann Compton, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people do consider Washington, D.C. a southern city. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, it's
So
a
how did
Virginian
that work
city.
in the Civil War? I mean, that's interesting.
Well, I mean,
because-
Virginia was part, you know, Virginia was where the
Yeah.
whole thing was going down. I mean, it was just the epicenter of the whole thing, you know, kind of in
Whoa.
the middle, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But
in
you
some
could see
ways.
where even the president, Lincoln, and everybody was in danger all the time,
Yeah.
even in D.C.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
he just rode horses and rode around. You know that story, right?
Yeah.
He was shot at twice by John Wilkes or somebody.
Right.
Just right, you know, had a hole in his hat. Oh well.
Oh, well.
No,
yeah.
no Secret Service.
Yeah,
No.
nothing. It's all good.
It's all good.
So, like I said, she gained this legendary status and the archetype, and people. So not only did she perceive this of herself, but people actually started to call her Moses as well. That's what they really
Oh, I did
believed
not
in,
know
you
that.
know. And so more danger came her way in 1850 when the Fugitive Slave Act was established. So that meant instead of being a free woman in the North, she was now a fugitive herself, even, you know. So, you know, her slave smuggling didn't cease, but now instead of taking them into Philadelphia, she made the even tougher trek into Canada. So took them all the way up there.
Wow.
So from 1851 to 1857, she actually lived mostly north of the border in St. Catharines, Canada, and
been
ventured
to St.
to
Catharines.
Maryland twice a year. So, you know, where is it? Is it right across?
It's in Ontario. but it's
Ontario,
up-
yeah.
just across the border, basically.
Okay, yeah. So she was a great speaker also, Kevin, on women's rights, not just rights for African Americans.
Yeah.
And she became a wanted woman with a bounty on her head, but was never turned in, you know. So she was able to kind of skate her whole life without, you know, probably with divine providence, honestly,
Yeah.
you know. So this is very interesting because this is sort of is a dichotomy between her and Frederick Douglass, and it goes to the whole idea of how much are we going to sin ourselves in order to overcome sins? How much are we going to fight fire with fire, so to speak, you know? And it's always a balance, and you know, it's easy to just sit here and say, well, you know, you should always be moral and everything, and I think you should, you know, especially from a Christian perspective, but it would be hard to blame somebody who took a tough route. And so, in other words, I don't think, not to an extreme sense, but she did aid John Brown in some of his efforts and his raids and different things. So, during the Civil War, this is a real cool thing.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened to her when the war then finally broke out.
Right. So the Union asked her to organize a unit of black slaves in the South. Wouldn't that be a great movie?
Whoa.
Yeah. So they had
I
this
didn't
whole
know that.
network of African slave, you know, that were
Led by Harriet Tubman.
led by Harriet Tubman, who were communicate with each other and had a whole
They
pretty
should.
Cool.
I don't think there's been a major
No,
movie
I
about
don't
Harriet
think
Tubman.
so.
Or the Underground Railroad and this
Yeah.
whole stuff. It would make a great movie.
Definitely, you know. So
Just don't let Whoopi Goldberg play.
or Oprah.
Or Oprah.
So she helped Colonel James
don't
Montgomery disrupt Southern supply lines, which resulted in the freedom of hundreds more slaves. So she was very involved in the
Come
Civil War,
on.
Kevin.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
See?
And so after the war, she dedicated herself to establishing schools for free men in South Carolina. And tried to educate former slaves because she saw, you know, sort of that Frederick Douglass model of education and what it could do. She also worked with Susan B. Anthony on women's suffrage.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. So she just did so
Wow.
much. She wrote a book, sort of a biography called "Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman," and that
Yeah.
made her kind of financially stable. She was able
Yeah.
to make money for the rest of her life because of that. And then she established a home for older African Americans in Auburn, New York. And in 1911, she actually moved into the home that she established and died 2 years later in 1913. And she was buried, Kevin, with full military honors.
Come on now.
So,
You bet
very
she
cool. But the
sure-
coolest thing
In
I
New
think
York, you
about,
said, was
yeah,
this
in
house?
Auburn. And so the coolest thing I thought about her, and I'd heard this when this first thing all went down, because they're putting Andrew Jackson on the back. In fact, they're probably going to have to commission a new painting for it. It's probably going to be really cool what
Good,
it looks
good,
like.
yeah.
But when she freed her parents, to get them to New York, she needed $20, and so she demanded from a New York abolitionist $20, and so that's the $20 bill. And that's
How amazing and
significant. So-
how kind of cool, almost chokes me up.
Yeah.
That Jackson and Harriet Tubman will be together.
Right,
on this
and then
bill.
I really honestly don't think that Jackson would really object
would
too
love
much
it.
because he doesn't. He hates paper currency.
Yeah.
He thought that whole
Well,
thing
yeah.
was a sham, you
Yeah.
know, and the whole thing. So
yeah,
yeah,
he wouldn't care if he's.
So I thought that was
No,
very
but the friend
fascinating.
read together.
The comparisons between her and Frederick Douglass. They were both born in Maryland. They both, just very interesting things. Both married free blacks, so just thought a fascinating life and really not talked about enough, quite frankly.
And if she was commissioned then to help with the Army, she might have even run it. She might have also, like Frederick Douglass, have been in the company of Abraham Lincoln.
Could have been. I didn't hear too much about that, but could have been.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder. But with Susan B. Anthony, that's interesting. I didn't know any of that. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying about the $20 bill? A slave owner on one side.
Oh yeah.
Of a slave.
Right.
Right. So I mean, not that he was a mean slave. I mean, there's good stories about Andrew Jackson, but
it's the idea
of
combining.
Time.
I believe it's the idea of combining what we talked about yesterday, which was the idea that both of our political philosophies in this country have evolved towards populism, because the idea is that when you go to the Hermitage, Kevin, and when you listen to the film that they've put together on Andrew Jackson, it's called Good, Evil, and the Presidency, and it's narrated by Martin Sheen. And when you go there, the very last thing they tell you is that Jackson did. There are a lot of things where he held down, blacks or Native Americans or whatever the case may be. But the way he achieved rights for all white men, meaning, suffrage, voting rights for all white men, whether you owned property or not, whether you were the bourgeoisie or rich or not, that same ethic and that same, constitutional way of going about doing that was the same way that the minorities achieved their rights. So in other words, Jackson was this kind of liberator in a sense. He just only extended it through the lens that he knew about, which was the lens that he was brought up in, the whole thing. But there certainly are parallels between the way he went about achieving rights for folks and the way Susan B. Anthony did, or the way Martin Luther King did, or whatever the case may be.
Inadvertently paved the way for them to have civil liberty. But so that's amazing, man. That's Harriet Tubman. We have just one more day this week. This is my favorite part. I love history.
Yeah.
Are we going with
I don't know who we'll do tomorrow. There's some really good things.
John Brown or
I don't know about him. Maybe like another African American hero. Maybe
Martin
like
Luther King.
that
could take a while.
We could do Martin Luther King. Yeah. Well, let's see how long it takes. Maybe he might be a two-parter, but I'll do some research tonight and kind of figure that out. So.
I've met his son. Looks just like the pictures. Yeah, it's just an amazing resemblance. And I thought he did an amazing thing when he went to visit supposedly his dad's killer. So, but anyway, maybe Martin Luther.
Yeah,
King.
We'll see.
Wonderful. Martin Luther is another one.
There you go.
There's so much religious history too from around the world, but so far this is just America.
I know.
We could forever. Your mom says you should write that movie about Harriet Tubman.
That'd be cool.
You should.
Well, I always think, Kevin, you would think they've made more of these, and I think they did back in the 70s, but I've always thought there was much more, you could literally, you could go into a movie studio today, I feel like, and you could say, all right, Martin Luther King biopic, which they did in Selma, kind of, but I was just thinking about this about 10 years ago, so I was just thinking about something. Okay, Frederick Douglass biopic, Harriet Tubman, Washington. You could do so many biopics
and
they haven't done.
There's a lot more historical things come out, like Dunkirk they just did, and then before that we've had all these different historical pieces. Lincoln's
They've never
thing.
even made a movie on Washington. They have, obviously. There's movies where he's in it, but an actual biopic, just like they made
a giant
Lincoln.
IMAX, whatever. I know.
Can you believe that they?
My idea is, they did Lincoln and the vampires. They showed Washington and the aliens. I think it would just be amazing.
I know, but we can't do that because we need 7 Avengers movies. Ugh.
No, Avengers are good. And now you've got the Justice League. Now
yes, that's actually good. DC.
Oh really?
So
it's just because you like them better?
They're more
I'm
serious.
kind of with you on that.
They take a more serious track, and they're
But I do like Spider-Man, I gotta say.
Well, Spider-Man's iconic, yes.
Yeah, and the way Robert Downey Jr. done as Iron Man.
I know. I like the first one, the 5th and 7th one, and the 12th one, and the whole.
Any new movies coming out? A lot of the movies that I look through, the rated R movies, and there's supposed to be some funny ones. There's one called Baby Driver, coming out that just came out. There's another rated R movie called The Atomic Blonde, and she's supposed to be some spy. But they have to throw in rated R. They'd be great just without the F words, without the taking the Lord's name in vain. They'd be fine without the sex or the nudity, and they'd still be just as exciting movies. But no.
There's a great movie that's going to come out with James Franco, Kevin, in I think December, called The Disaster Artist. Have you ever seen the movie called The Room?
I don't know.
It's considered the best worst movie of all time. It's like you have to see. It's brilliant.
Is it where this woman saves her kid in
No,
the room?
there's no story to it whatsoever. There's the guy he's like the director and the actor.
Yeah.
The way he talks is so weird. Like at one point he's like, there's the wife is named Lisa, and I guess she like cheats on him or whatever, and he's like, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa." It's like making this whole movie where James Franco like is him, and it's really
He's funny. Now
interesting.
that guy's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I really love that movie where he had to cut his arm off. A true story.
27 hours.
Yeah, but I want to do our devotional for the day. I was just going to say, you know, the piggishness of some things. I was just seeing an interview with Dick Cavett, who had a great talk show, one of the great founding fathers of talk shows in America. And he interviewed Groucho Marx, greatest comedian ever made.
Right.
And one of the quotes he says on that talk show was, you know, it's so easy to get a laugh being dirty, but a true comedian can get a laugh without it. You know, and so there you go. That's what I believe. Joe, Barbara, Christina... Hi, Chris. And Richard have joined us. And so now it's time to close out the AM Kevin with our Devo of the day, our devotion. Go into the Word.
Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path.
Going to the book of John again. I've been in John all week long, just going through from the resurrection, the crucifixion, the time at the tomb. You know, hang out with Jesus. Don't give up, you know, even though you think all is falling apart. Mary Magdalene stood by the tomb and did not give up. She looked, and then she had an angel visitation and a visitation from Jesus himself, because she lingered while the other disciples, Peter and John, left. Don't leave, linger. Hang around Jesus. Trust him to the very end. That's what we're doing. We're trusting him for great things. You know, I've got another attack today. You know, I mean, just different things. People don't understand things. Whatever. I'm not after people, but when you come after me, or you know the enemy comes after you, it's easy to tuck tail and run. But it's the power of the Lord that says, I'm going to stand tall and I'm going to do what God has called me to do. He called me to do what I'm doing. It's not time to cancel the dreams. Think if Joseph had given up. Maybe if he'd had sex with the Potiphar's wife. Maybe if he had told his brothers, just kidding, I'll be your slave. You know, I'm not going to be. But he stuck to his dream and held on. And it took 39 years, but he then was, the dream was fulfilled. Here's something that had happened that just blew away another Mary and Martha, and their brother's name was Lazarus. A certain man was sick. Lazarus, who's from the town of Bethany, his sisters Mary and Martha. It was that Mary had anointed the Lord. It's the same Mary that anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore the sisters went to him and said, Lord, behold, the one whom you love, our brother, is sick. Jesus heard it. He said, this sickness is not just unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let's go to Judea again. So he went away to minister. And instead of going to pray for his sickness, boy, was he not just sick, he was really sick. He died. And so he dies, and Mary and Martha are like, what? You could have prayed for him. You could have been there. Instead, you went somewhere else to minister. And he said, this may be unto death, but for the glory of God. Is Jesus being cruel? Does he wait for certain answers to come to you to be cruel? Because sometimes it feels like it, you know. They say he's an on-time God. Yes, he is. It's a whole song. On-time God. Yes, he is. But okay, why won't you come early? Or why are you right on time? Are you trying to be cruel? No. Never give up on what God is doing, because you got to see the big picture. This always comes back to the big picture. There will always be a greater glory if we won't give up. Like Mary Magdalene at the tomb. She's looking, I got to figure this out. The stone is rolled away. I don't understand what's going on. So Jesus shows up, and he found that Lazarus had been dead now for 4 days. Woo! bodies start to really smell after 4 days. And the Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had joined the women around Mary and Martha to comfort them concerning their brother. Many of the Jews, many of the religious, maybe the Pharisees, Sadducees, some of those, maybe the religious were there to see, you know, and to criticize because they heard Jesus is coming back. What do you think you're going to do now? And they came to Mary and Martha, joined Jesus and says, what in the world? And he says, don't worry, your brother will rise again. And he says, I know he will. You know, when the rapture comes, the resurrection of that day, I know. She says, no. I am the resurrection and I am the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he will live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? And they're like, okay, yes, Lord. I believe you're the Christ, the Son of God, who's come to this world. Long story short, you know what happens. He walks up to Lazarus and he says, Lazarus, come forth. And, you know, and first he said, open up the tomb. And they said, well, his body stinks. And he says, go ahead, it's okay. Lazarus, come forth. R.W. Shambach, a great healing evangelist, used to say, he had to say, Lazarus, come forth, because if he just said, come forth, the whole cemetery would have emptied out of, and people would have rose. So he says, Lazarus, come forth. And so he comes out of the tomb, and Jesus proves again, he's the resurrection of life, to the religious, you know, that were watching and were cynical, to the glory of God for Mary and Martha to see that he was the resurrection. If he could conquer death, if he could speak from dead into life, then he is great enough to do anything. I mean, this was just the test. This was just the thing. And the Gospels talk about it. You know, all the different Gospels talk about this Lazarus coming from the dead. And there was just a sign, too, to let them know that he could conquer this for Lazarus. He was going to rise from the dead. Of course, they had forgotten that. But so Jesus is not being cruel. Jesus is not waiting to bring you an answer just to show off, or just to make you suffer a little bit, just to keep you, you know, balanced. That's not our God. The test is for a great testimony. What is God waiting to bring himself glory for through you today? What is he going to do right now through you? If you will hold on, if you will linger, if you will not give up, if you will be strong and you will not fall apart, but hold on to God, hold him. Hold him. There's a song on my new CD called Chains of Love. I keep giving away my new CD, so I can't hold it up. But my new CD, there's a song called Chains of Love. And don't let go. He's not going to let go. Don't you let go. You're on the brink of your miracle. You're on the edge of victory. Your test is bringing a testimony. Your mess is bringing a message. God is waiting to bring glory through every situation. We know that all things, Romans says, work together for good to those that love him, and they're called according to his purpose. There's a purpose, there's a plan for everything. I know God has taught me so much in these last couple of months. You know, we were to pay off within 90 days, and then it's now gone past 120 days, and so we're really on the past 120 days, and it's going into almost 150 days. But we know that it won't go that far. And we know, even though folks are,
clamoring.
Yes, clamoring to get their money and for those things to happen for us, God is going to bring a greater glory. I've learned so much in this, and learned so much wisdom from all this, and how to really have faith and trust in God through everything, not in man itself, not in the money itself, not into anything. And I always believe that, but when it comes down to it, are you willing to believe it? Are you willing to give of your tithe that it belongs to God when you know, you could use all that money to pay off some bills, but yet 10% belongs to him, not to you? There's a lot of testing. What is God doing to bring glory through you right now? Look at the big picture. Don't look at what's going on right now. Go see the whole forest for just the trees. You know what they say. Just look, rise above. That's what eagles do. They'll rise above. And, you know, Patty says it right. Carmen was a Christian artist. I think he's still out there, an evangelist and preaching and singing. Love his ministry. But he had a song. It may look like Friday night, you know, but Sunday's on the way. You know, Jesus was put in the tomb on Friday night, but Sunday's on the way. So don't give up. Never give up on what God is doing. There will always be a greater glory if we don't give up. Help us, Lord. It's so easy to give up and throw in the towel. It's easy to just say, you know, I can do something else. Maybe this wasn't of God. You know, make excuses for it. But God, you have purposed a dream. You have purposed a plan in all of us. You've given us a destiny to accomplish. And we know we are put that by you, by your Holy Spirit. And it's by your Holy Spirit that we will conquer. We will be more than conquerors, and we will overcome. That you will get greater glory, even though what we see now looks like death, just like Lazarus and Mary and Martha. That's all they saw was the death. But he says, you said, I am the resurrection, I am the life, and if you believe in me, you shall live and not die. And so we will live, and that more abundantly. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but you come to give life, and that more abundantly. So God, we just pray that you'll give us the strength to overcome, to go forward, and allow this test to become our greatest testimony. In Jesus' mighty and precious name, we give you praise. Amen.
Amen.
And amen. Thank you all, everyone, for you joining today. And go to John 11, reread it again. It's a great read. I could preach multiple sermons just on that one chapter and what happened in that time with Lazarus and Mary and Martha. And so we'll be back for a devotional. Now, if you want me, I can help you write some little devotions, because you got to give a little devotion next week too. But our host for the AM Kevin is going to be Marshall Howden. We're passing the baton, you know, the magic pen over to Marshall. And so you can fill it with sports, you know, news.
Okay.
You can just, because I don't even know if there's anything happening in sports. I do know that they're already started, practicing. The NFL teams are already starting to practice, man.
We're only like 30 days away.
Yes!
So excited.
When football starts again.
Yes.
Oh, you're ready for some football? I am, for
And
sure.
right the day, you know, like September 4th is Tennessee's first game, and right then I'll be getting my Ancestry.com. I'm excited about that. You know, find out
Awesome.
what percentage I'm Irish, Scottish, whatever the case may be. So, yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
Well, join us and find out more about us and our ministry. Go to kevinshorey.com. That's kevinshorey.com. S-H-O-R-E-Y. That's like the seashore with the Y. Kevin, which rhymes with heaven. kevinshorey.com. Go there and find out more about our ministry and ways you can help us to go forward. We're going to do it. And together, it's only together that we can do it. With the Lord and all of us together, our family of friends, we're going to overcome. We will see you tomorrow. Fill my cup, Lord. We keep missing the ending.
I know. I need to
But
learn
it's there. It's there.